Welcome into the Plus160 Podcast here at the Strip, where productions are made possible. To my left is Taylor Strawn, a great sports mind and a sports management major at Oklahoma State University. This is the second time you've seen us, and a new way of seeing us this time. We've got the video.
Got the whole setup here.
Got the whole setup. You can see us.
That's nice. I like.
Got the in-season tournament shirt from last night, the game we went and saw. Chet versus Wemby, a very hyped-up matchup. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But first, obviously, we kind of want to hit a little bit, since you haven't seen us in a long time, we want to hit a little bit on the Rangers, who I started following a little bit more as the
World Series champions.
World Series champions. I started following them a little bit more as the season progressed, and boy, was it a good season to start following them. We went to Globe Life this July and watched them play the Guardians and got a good 12-4 win.
Oh yeah, that was a fun game. We got to see Aroldis Chapman pitch. I mean, we saw him pitch 103. Adolis was hitting nukes.
Yeah,
it was a fun time. They came back down 4-0, but they're really good this year. So,
yeah, I mean they paid all those free agents that big money. I mean, Marcus Semien obviously had a slow start to the postseason, but obviously stepped up when it mattered most in the World Series, and they got a 4-1 series victory over the Diamondbacks. And really, I think we're saying that the series against the Astros was more the World Series rather than against the Diamondbacks. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it definitely was a big series with the rivalry and everything. It going 7 games. Whoever won that was going to have a lot of momentum. So,
yeah, I mean, absolutely.
But the Diamondbacks, they did a great job, you know. They deserve to be there. So,
yeah, I mean, the Astros seemed like they were seeing the baseball like a beach ball in Globe Life, and kind of vice versa for the Rangers in the Astros Stadium. It was an odd series, but glad to see the Rangers come out on top in that one, and obviously end up winning the whole thing, the first one in franchise history.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, I mean,
big for the entire area of Dallas and the Metroplex down there. I mean, it's huge. Obviously, now wanting the Mavs and the Cowboys to follow suit.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go to the parade. I was lucky enough to go, and it was really cool there. A lot of people showed up for that, so, you know, I got to see him hoist the trophy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's a legendary moment. It's the first time in franchise history, like I said. Pretty cool that you got to be there and experience that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, we went to the Bedlam game. Unfortunately, good for him, bad for me. But was just a lackluster Bedlam, but in the same time, it was Bedlam nonetheless, with a lot of turnovers from the Oklahoma offense, and really just kind of smart decision-making and slow rolling and controlling the game by Oklahoma State, really.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Bedlam's, which is why I'm upset they're not playing it out of conference. I don't know why that is, but I feel like it's always a good game, and I always look forward to it, even though we do most of the time get beat. But 2-1 when I'm attending the school, so
2-1 record as a student. Well, I mean, that's not bad. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more later in the show. We're going to talk about the Thunder game we went to last night against Chet versus Wemby, the Rookie of the Year race, big matchup. Warriors and Wolves, Draymond putting Rudy Gobert into a headlock. We'll dabble into that and let you know how we feel about that. Reacting to the power rankings in the NBA that released this morning following last night's in-season tournament play. You know, in the college football world, obviously we've got to talk about Michigan and all the drama that wraps around that. And then a big firing with $76 million left on his contract. Texas A&M getting rid of Jimbo. I mean, I'd say that's a pretty big deal. And then we'll talk a little bit about our playoff predictions and who we could see getting in. And then in the NFL, obviously big news coming out Wednesday morning. Deshaun Watson will be out for the season with a season-ending shoulder surgery due to a broken bone in his throwing shoulder. We'll talk about that. Bills getting rid of their offensive coordinator after losing a really dreadful primetime game to the Browns, or not the Browns, sorry, the Broncos.
Yeah, that game was crazy.
I mean, obviously we have Seamus, who's a big Bills fan, and I think he was just distraught about the whole thing. C.J. Stroud, he's a rookie. No rookie has won the MVP since Jim Brown. We'll establish about that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But now we want to get to talk a little bit about what I've been doing in the Kennedy Ventures world and what's been going on there. There's just been a lot of production sales right now. Obviously, the baby pig sale season finished up a couple weeks ago, and while that was wild in and of itself, the bred gilt sales have been pretty good too. Obviously, I built some slideshows for Heimers and Sloans that happened last week. Those were great sales. I'm working on building a slideshow this week for the all-in bred gilt sale in Roanoke, Indiana. That'll be this weekend coming up. So I've been working on that, and also doing a small bit of videoing sows here and there for different people. Not too much video work going on right now, but hopefully there's more as the spring sale season rolls in. That's about all I've been doing as far as my work in KV right now. Is it's kind of slowed up a little bit for the year. With that, I'd say let's go ahead and get right into the NBA. I mean, let's talk about last night's game between the Thunder and the Spurs. Chet versus Wemby, obviously, but a huge, you can't forget his name, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the first-team All-NBA player the Thunder has. He showed up last night in a big way.
I feel like Giddey also played really good. It was just, everyone it was just a blowout. First of all,
total team effort.
We got to sit, not baseline, but there were really good seats, and we had a good view. Chet versus Wemby. It was kind of underwhelming at first, but not at first, but over time. But at the same time, they were just defending each other the whole time, so it was
really a matchup between defenders.
Yeah,
that's what it came down to. Not a high scoring affair, but the Thunder had a load of steals on as a team, 18 to be specific. They had 18 team steals, which is a really high mark. SGA had 7 just by himself. That's a career high for him. Yeah, a career high in steals, and just adding to more of his resume as a two-way player, being able to play both the offensive and defensive end, and just adding his value to this team. Again,
showing why he's first All-NBA.
Yeah, obviously, he had a 28-point performance last night, 7 steals, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. And Giddey had 18 points with 7 assists and 7 boards to go along with that, and 2 blocks. That pair can end up being very dangerous. I think Giddey's got, this may sound crazy to say, I think he's got magic potential, and some of that stuff, he's got to grow a lot more, obviously, but the way he passes the ball and the way he sees the court, I don't think there's been another player since Magic Johnson that's been able to do that. I
think that playmaking-wise, I agree with you. He has potential, but I don't know if he's got to become more consistent of a scorer, to me, at least.
Yeah, and I think he can, but also a big thing is
and rebounding. He's nice at rebounding.
Everybody else is really young and trying to find their role in the scoring as well.
But he did have a good shooting night tonight. He was 7 for 11.
Yeah, he was efficient, did his job. He's obviously got to get better. 0 for 2 from the 3. Got to get that 3-point shot down a little bit more. But if he gets that 3-point shot down, he's a scary matchup for just about any guard across the league.
He's big. Pretty much everyone we play got smaller guards than us, so he can just bully. Ball.
Last night we did a lot of switching onto Wemby. It was a lot of switch defense, which played very well, was in the passing lanes, it was a good defensive strategy from Mark Dagnall. But with the switching and the length of our players, I mean, they were getting up and contesting just about every pass that was down low to Wemby, and really holding their own surprisingly against someone that's a foot taller than most of them.
Yeah, I mean, Wemby made Chet look small out there, and not many people do that.
But I mean,
it's crazy to just see him out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
he didn't dominate the game in any way, but it definitely was shocking just to see. I mean, he was bringing the ball up the court off the rebounds, being 7'4", and you don't see stuff like that in the NBA.
A 7'4" point guard basically is what I felt like I was watching. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was insane, and also a huge shout out to Devin Vassell. Had a big game last night. He had a big quarter. Let's put it that way. He had a good quarter. 12 points on the game total. What was it? The second or third quarter? He started heating up, and he went on a good
He had a step back three. It was nice.
He went on a good little 8-point run probably for him. But really, they just didn't have too much offensive output at all from most. Nothing consistent. Zach Collins 1 for 4. Champagne or however you say Champagne.
I mean, they had two of their best players out, Keldon Johnson and Trey Jones.
Yeah,
they're on a coming in. They're on a 5-game losing streak. So
yeah, obviously you expect the Thunder to win this one.
I didn't expect them to win by this much.
Yeah, but you don't expect them to go in and win by 36 points. I mean, that's a huge margin of victory, and you expect Wembanyama, going up against Chet in the Rookie of the Year head-to-head. You think they'd go at it a little bit more, but the defensive side of the ball showed out last night for the Thunder, and it was very impressive.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just a team effort. They pretty much played everyone that they possibly could besides Bertans, and almost everyone scored. Almost everyone hit a three. It was just everyone played really good, so
yeah,
good game to go to.
It was
fun.
Good, well-rounded team effort. I mean, I think everybody was in the plus-minus except for a couple of bench guys who came in late. But I mean, it's kind of hard to be in the plus if you come in garbage minutes sometimes. But I mean, everybody's in the plus.
I mean, dude, Giddey was throwing dimes out there.
Yeah, I mean, he sees the court like no other.
He should have had more than 7 assists.
Yeah, he should have. There was a lot of missed shots off of good passes.
We could have dropped a lot more.
Team assist, I think we had 34 total as a team. So I mean, a solid night. Not anything crazy, but a very solid night. Moving on from the Thunder game, I want to talk a little bit about some wild stuff that went on in the NBA last night, but not surprising coming as you hear from who it comes from. Draymond getting into a scuffle.
There were a lot of scuffles last night. There was actually one at the Thunder game.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, it was mini, but
nothing too big. Just
Kenrich Williams and Zach Collins.
Just a double check and move on about your day, about how the NBA reacts.
There was one in the Grizzlies Lakers too. I don't know if you saw that one. It was Anthony Davis pushed someone, but Draymond's was the worst. I mean, he put someone in a headlock.
Yeah, Clay and who was it? Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, before a point was even scored.
Yeah, Clay and Jaden McDaniels got into it, and Jaden McDaniels ripped Clay's jersey, and then Draymond flew in out of nowhere and put Rudy Gobert in a headlock. Really, he should be applying for the WWE. I don't know. I mean, one of the craziest things I've ever seen, really, and was actually pulling hard on the chokehold. Wasn't he was trying to tap him. I mean, that's what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like it, honestly. I mean, actually,
in our
maybe
lives,
Malice in the Palace.
I mean, yeah, obviously nothing we've seen in our lifetime, but there's been stuff that's happened like that. Obviously, in older NBA eras, nothing like this in this era.
I wonder how many games if he's going to get suspended. I know he's probably on his podcast. I'm going to get on there trying to fight it.
Honestly, I think the NBA, I think Adam Silver looks at it and says I think this is easily a 5 to 10 game suspension. could be more, could be less, but I think there's really no way Adam Silver goes into this without at least making it a 5-game suspension.
Well, OKC does play the Warriors their next 2 games, so
yeah, I mean
that's good for us.
It does work out in the Thunder's favor. Not in the Warriors, however, but it's what you get when you kind of get a wild player like Draymond. Sets a tone for you sometimes. Other times leaves the game a little too early.
Mm-hmm. I've never liked him, honestly. So
yeah, I mean, he's just always been
doing something.
Been a dirty player, really. His whole career, as he's been famous for kicking people in the unfortunate areas during playoff runs, and also just starting brawls and fights, and just a real instigator out there. Good in some areas, but most of the time it gets you into trouble. And last night was definitely evidence of that. So, obviously, the power rankings came out this morning following the NBA. And the Mavs and OKC and the Wolves have been just slowly churning their way up the rankings. Obviously, the Nuggets being number 1, no change there. Philadelphia moved from 3 to 2. Boston moved down to 3 from 2. Excuse me. Mavericks are up to into the top 4, and the Timberwolves are also right at 5. So there's your top 5 laid out right there. Another notable ranking: the Milwaukee Bucks are on the outside of the 5, looking in at number 6.
And they're just getting Dame back.
Yeah, and the Pacers with Halliburton just rolling, sitting at 7 right now, which is, I think, maybe
it's a huge jump.
Maybe a surprise to most. I mean, but I think with Halliburton's development and the way he gets everybody else involved, I mean, you can see that. You can see how that's happening. The Warriors sitting at 8, dropped down from 4. They're sitting at 6 and 6 right now. I really think that's kind of just a generous ranking, considering the fact that they're the Warriors.
Yeah.
But you know, that's whatever. Oklahoma City sitting at 10. Didn't move at all from their last ranking, but inside the top 10 is pretty good. But the Rockets, a huge shock here, sitting at 11. I don't think a lot of people expected the Rockets to be as good as they are.
I mean, they got it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They did get Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and a new coach.
Yeah, Ime Udoka is definitely changing the culture and those guys are actually playing a little bit of winning basketball down there in
We'll
Houston.
see how long that lasts, though.
Yeah, obviously it's early in the season. I mean, they're just 6 and 3, obviously just through 9 games. But a winning record through 9 games. I mean, if you keep that up the whole season, you're going to be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And they haven't even been playing their top 5 pick.
Yeah,
Thompson.
I mean,
barely gotten any. His brother though he's been really good on the Pistons. I don't know if you've been seeing that.
I have not. How's he been shaking up?
He'll probably finish top 3 in Rookie of the Year.
How's Scoot been playing? Is he still pretty inefficient?
He's been hurt mostly, but yeah. I mean, you just got to give him time.
Yeah.
He's still so young.
Another surprise in the power rankings. After trading for James Harden, the Clippers are 0-4, 0-6. What is it now? They haven't won since they traded.
Bad.
They haven't won since they traded for James Harden.
Yeah.
They are 3-7.
It's been terrible.
You know, James Harden liked to claim he was the system, but
it's been 6 straight losses for them.
But Philadelphia has been prospering ever since he's been gone, and the Clippers have not been. So I mean,
Tyrese Maxey has been.
Yeah, he's been killing it. He's been absolutely.
He's been amazing.
Yeah, he stepped into that role and stepped into it well. Stepping right alongside with Embiid, the reigning MVP.
I mean, he dropped 50 the other night. Did you see that?
Yeah, he had a 50
That's crazy.
Another small news here. I don't have it wrote down here, but the Bulls shopping their All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of a little bit of a big topic here, as Levine and DeRozan are on the block, it appears, for Chicago.
I do think it'd be smart if they traded both Levine and DeRozan for some either picks or like young guys while they still can. because they're not gonna win.
Yeah, I mean,
this year.
I don't think Lonzo's playing at all this year, and who knows if Lonzo's ever gonna come back and be the defensive playmaker that he is.
I mean, they're paying him $20 million still. It's just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, it's just a bad situation. I think I agree with you. You just kind of try to get younger and look to the future and try to get healthy and try again. I mean, it feels like the Bulls have been in a rebuild for 20 years. Ever since 1998, basically.
You're giving Levine $40 million, so I don't know how much you're going to get back for him. That's a tough contract to trade for somebody that's a fringe all-star, in my opinion. I mean, can be an all-star, but at the same time, can kind of flake out on you. He's not. I wouldn't say he's the most consistent. I wonder who's going to try for him.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know the 76ers had some interest, but I think word came out that they came out that they're going to wait till the trade deadline to maybe make a move on him, which that's a long ways away, obviously. So nothing really going on there. So somebody else might make a move before then. I mean, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of time in between now and then. Is the trade deadline, in February?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
A lot of time between now and then. Obviously, the bottom of the power rankings is rounding out at 30 is the Wizards.
Oh, they're terrible.
2-8. Jordan Poole's trying to run his show there and running it into the ground. I got to be honest.
I mean, yeah, I was watching. I just happened to be watching the game, like the ending of one of their games the other day, and they blew a 22-point lead. And Kuzma, they had a game-winning possession, and Kuzma just stepped out, and they lost. It was
just bad basketball, really. Just not disciplined. I'm sure Kuzma and Jordan Poole are just having a fun time being in the NBA. Honestly, that's kind of how I feel about that.
Making money, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're making their money. They got paid. Jordan Poole has a ring. Does Kuzma have a ring? Didn't he get one with the Lakers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he did, yeah.
They got their rings. They're just, I guarantee you, they're just hanging out. They're just there.
Mm-hmm.
That's about really all I have to say about the NBA. Do you have anything else you want to maybe add before we move on?
I mean, not really. I'm excited to see how the rest of the season turns out. So, I mean, it's still really early. So
very early, very early.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on into the college football world, let's just dive right into it. Michigan is obviously in one of the biggest scandals in sports. Right up there with the Houston Astros, their scandal a few years ago. I mean, the sign stealing scandal. I'm sure most of you know about it. If not by now, they had a representative or somebody employed by Michigan at opposing teams' games, recording their sideline from field level. You can do it. You can record from a raised position, but you can't record from field level. And they were recording from field level the opposing the sidelines of future matchups and using those signs in games to their advantage. Right now, the punishment that has been dealt by the Big Ten commissioner, not by the NCAA, but by the Big Ten commissioner, is Jim Harbaugh has been suspended for the final 3 games of the regular season, which was Penn State last weekend, Maryland this weekend, and then the big one between Ohio State and Michigan at the to round out the season. That's a huge game in terms of playoff implications. The Michigan has filed a restraining order, quote restraining order, against that ruling. To that, I'm not sure has been decided on yet. I'm not sure has been ruled on yet to see whether he can be on the sidelines for the final 2 games. They are claiming there wasn't due process, but the NCAA is not going to act on something like this until after the season. I mean, the NCAA is not. It's not like the NFL where Roger Goodell can just go, bam, you're suspended X amount of games, or this is the punishment that you got to have. These are the scholarships you forfeit. It's not that easy, unfortunately, in the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I just think it's, I don't know.
Are they deserving of a playoff spot?
I mean, they're talented enough. We'll see how these next 3 games, I think, are huge for them.
Yeah. Got the win at Penn State.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I think everybody thinks they're going to beat Maryland this weekend, but I mean, the big one is Ohio State to determine who goes to that Big Ten championship. So,
I mean, I think I'm just going to base if they deserve to go on. If they win that game, then yeah, I think that they deserve it. But obviously, the cheating is not.
I don't think you can put them in the playoffs if you come to the conclusion that yes, this has transpired without a doubt. You have the evidence. This is what has happened.
Because they're basically that means they know what the other team's running. Basically.
Yeah, they have. Yes, they've beat all these teams by 50, but they were also beating them by 50 and knowing what they were running.
Yeah, I actually got to see them play.
That's a complete unfair advantage in my opinion.
They're really talented. I did get to see them play in Nebraska when I went up there.
It is a good football team, no doubt, and J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum. I mean, they've got some dogs over there in Michigan, no doubt. Got some dogs.
And Roman Wilson, he's nice too. He makes. I saw him make a crazy catch.
Yeah, I mean they've got some dogs over there in Michigan, but obviously, I'm sure the players didn't know about it. But I mean, if they went through this season succeeding at the expense of others, I don't think they can. I don't think they should take the spot from an one-loss Alabama, say, or a one-loss Georgia team that just lost to Alabama, or a Pac-12 one-loss team, something like that. You can't have one of those teams on the outside looking in with, well, yeah, Michigan got there, but they obviously they beat everybody but 50, and they had their signs, but it doesn't matter because they beat them by 50.
Yeah, well, if they do come to that conclusion where they feel like they want to put somebody else in over them, then that's fine by me. I mean, it's.
I don't think it's fair to those kids at other programs. You know, Florida State, for example, Washington, Oregon.
Yeah. I'd like to see them in it.
It's just not. It's not fair to those programs if that ends up being the case. Now, if it's still open-ended, and you say, "Well, we don't know, we don't have all the facts yet," then I mean, I think you kind of just got to let it roll on and play it out how it plays out. But if you have the evidence and you know that that's the case, then they can't go. I think it's just plain and simple. And I mean, Harbaugh was on the verge of getting fired 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he was on the verge of getting fired 2 years ago before or when this all was accused of started happening. And then they started going on a tear, and they started winning games, and then they started getting better recruits. And now all of a sudden, Harbaugh's getting looked at for NFL jobs and all this other stuff, and went to back-to-back playoffs. I mean, it's kind of odd how he just was about to get run out of Michigan, and then all of a sudden starts winning. And I've heard something, and I can't remember where I heard it from, that TCU found out about the sign stealing things and gave dummy signs. And that's why TCU hammered him in the playoffs. Gave him dummy signs.
That's pretty smart.
And that's why, obviously, you and I both know TCU was not the better team on the field. I mean, as far as talent, player for player, TCU was not the better team on the field. But they hammered him. And, I mean, if that ended up being the case, that's kind of legendary for TCU's head coach.
Yeah. Who do you think's gonna sign with A&M next for the head coaching vacancy?
Yeah, I mean that's a big topic. A&M fired Jimbo Fisher. Still had I think it was 6, 7. It might have been 8 years left on his contract. $75 million.
It was a lot. They have a huge buyout for that.
Yeah, I mean it's
75 mil.
Yeah, 76.8.
That's
I
crazy.
think. I mean that's insane. I mean I've heard a lot of rumblings. They say maybe the coach from Washington, who's obviously still a young head coach, just got his 100th win not too long ago.
Kellen DeBoer. Or DeBoer?
Yeah, I can't say his name. I was going to try, but I can't.
Kalen?
DeBoer, something. and obviously we've heard, I heard yesterday Stephen A. calling for Dion to go up there, but obviously I'm not a fan of that at all.
I like Oregon's coach, Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning wouldn't be bad, but you also got to think they're going to the Big Ten. So
yeah.
So it's not that. I mean, the Big Ten and the SEC are about to be the two power conferences in college football.
We also got Florida State head coach Mike Norvell.
Yeah, but it would be kind of like Texas A&M to just go and hire Florida State's head coach. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope they don't do that. I want to see.
That didn't work out very well last time.
They need a good team to field. I mean, they've got good recruits. They need a good coach down there at Kyle Field in College Station. They need good college football down there, because that's when the country is better, is when there is good college football in College Station and areas like that.
They're also saying the number one candidate is Duke head coach Mike Elko.
I could see that.
He used to coach at A&M.
Yeah, I could see that. That's actually not a bad guess there.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Former defensive coordinator. So
yeah,
A&M.
I mean that's kind of one thing you need to be in the SEC is defensive minded for sure. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I think the Duke and the Washington head coaches are probably the stronger possibility, but I'd say it's a 50-50 shot whether Washington's coach stays or leaves. It depends on obviously the outcome of the season, I'm sure. But I think it's a big deal, really. I mean, Texas A&M had the number one recruiting class. What was it, last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah, something. I know they're top 5 at least. Stewart.
Yeah,
I mean, he's gonna be a dog.
They've got great recruiting classes, and just nothing. No major success. Obviously, they've got a winning record and that stuff, but that's not what you want when you have the number one recruiting class in the country. Obviously, that's not what you want when you have the number one recruiting class in the country, but
yeah, you said that was 2 years ago?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, but
they did. 2021, number one. Yep. Walter Nolan, number one defensive tackle. Evan Stewart, 5-star. Shamar Stewart, 5-star. They had so many 5-stars.
Yeah, I mean they had an insane recruiting class, and I'm pretty sure they have a pretty solid one coming in.
9 5-stars.
I mean it's just unfathomable how you can't win with the talent that you have, but obviously that's why Jimbo's out of a job now. But I mean I'd head home for $76 million too. I mean, what about you?
Oh yeah, I'd gladly go. I'd pack my bags.
I'd live under a bridge for $76 million. Actually, I probably would not use my $76 million, but you know what I'm saying.
I got to see them play Auburn early in the season. They won. I mean, they've just been mid.
Yeah,
the A&M fans are saying it's about time. So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
they're expecting more, way more.
You remember when he first got there and he got that plaque that says national champion, and it said 20, and then blank. It had a blank number. Yeah, you're not getting that plaque filled in, Jimbo. Good use of money there from the program.
That AD's at LSU now, so he's not even there anymore. They cleaned house.
Another team kind of shocking. LSU, you'd think. I mean, is Jaden Daniels the best player in college football?
I like Michael Penix more.
You like Penix more?
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels is, without a doubt, the best player in college football. Obviously, doesn't have the record of Penix, but I don't know. Just watching him,
I just think Penix is nasty.
He's a great. I think they're both very, very good.
I think Marvin Harrison's better at his position than Daniels. And Marvin Harrison, position-wise,
He's not even the top statistic.
I just think he's crazy, bro.
I mean, he is obviously the best receiver in the country, without a doubt. But as far as stats-wise, he's not. But did have his second 1,000-yard receiving season. So there's that. I think the only player in Ohio State history to do that.
Really?
I'm pretty sure the only receiver in Ohio State history to have two 1,000-yard seasons.
Oh, two. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because they've had a lot of good receivers come through there.
Obviously, Ohio State slipped down in the playoff rankings.
Yeah, Georgia moved past them. Georgia's number 1 now.
Yeah, Georgia obviously coming off of 2 ranked wins. Obviously, it was a big last couple weeks for them, and we're hunting for that number 1 overall spot. Get back to it. First one of the this year's college football playoff. First number 1 ranking for them. Obviously, you've got the Pac-12 teams on the outside looking in. How do you judge that? Do you think? Obviously, you'd like to think a one-loss or an undefeated Pac-12 team makes it in, almost without a doubt, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think I really like Washington. Honestly, that's my team there. You can probably tell, but I mean Oregon. I think they could. I mean, they have Oregon and Washington both are the 2 teams that you got to look at there. I guess Oregon State has a very outside chance, but
so I'm looking at the All-State playoff predictor here, which is really a good tool to kind of show you the percentages of.
How about USC though?
USC, oh my gosh, defense. You got to have it. Caleb Williams cannot go out and continue to just, do everything he possibly can, and then just get let down again and again and again and again. And Lincoln Riley obviously fired Alex Grinch not too long ago, his good buddy. But he was terrible at being a defensive coordinator, and I think Lincoln Riley needs to realize that the defensive side of the ball needs a few of those recruits.
Yeah, they've given up the most points in the entire conference.
Looking at the playoff predictor here, though, Washington say they win out, right? They win out, but they don't win the conference title game. So they're a one-loss, not a conference champion. 4% chance. 4% chance of making it.
Oregon's nice. Like, their defense.
So Oregon, if they win out and win the conference title game, they'll be in. 91% chance they'll be in. So obviously,
that's definitely possible.
The big thing comes down to Ohio State, Michigan playing at the end of the year. Because obviously, only one of them will get to go to the conference championship game.
I do think Washington and Oregon will play again, right? For the championship, most likely.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good matchup. Because last time they played in Seattle, Washington won by 3. That was a good game. Bo Nix looked.
Yeah, that was an incredible game. I was actually, I think I was somewhere in the middle of Iowa. I think looking at pigs with Todd.
Yeah, I like Penix a lot.
I was watching it on my computer. That was a great game to watch. I think the Pac-12 has really kind of surprised most this year, but at the same time, not really, because it's been no defense basically except for Oregon and Utah, I guess. But really, just some good football teams this year. Getting down to the thick of it.
Yeah, but how many of them are going to be left next year?
Yeah, that's true. The Pac-12's got, I think, 2 teams that's going to be in it next year.
That's crazy. What is that even like? That's not even a conference anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, I think you kind of have to start bringing in those smaller schools like the Tulsas and the Sun Belt type schools. You know what I mean? The MAC conference. You know, stuff like that, and then try to grow them.
I mean,
but at that point, it's not even really Power 5.
Yeah, it's just not.
Because the teams that are left are what? Isn't it Cal and Oregon State?
I think that's right. Because everyone else is leaving.
That's not a good set of teams to hang your hat on.
I'm excited for Colorado to come to the Big 12.
That's gonna be big. I gotta be honest. I think if Deion gets his recruiting right, I think Deion.
They're supposedly coming to Stillwater next year.
I'd say that the Big 12 conference might have a new dominator of it once Texas and Oklahoma leave.
I hope so.
You need good, consistent teams year in and year out in those conferences, and Oklahoma being that, Texas starting to be that again, and then Oklahoma State obviously pretty much stays. They're going to be ranked at some point throughout the season, and if you can catch them when they're ranked, try to get a ranked win. Obviously you're always looking for ranked wins, but I think Colorado is going to be one of those teams that's going to stay ranked most of the time. And kind of stay in the thick of it for the Big 12. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they're always going to get good recruits with Deion there, so I'm excited to see them come play us. And I think they're going to be good, pretty much.
Yeah, I do too, really. So tell me this: who is your 4 to end the season? Who is your 4 that's going to play for the national championship?
All right, so we got Georgia. I'm going to put Georgia up there.
You got Georgia in there. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go. I'm going to put, I think Ohio State is going to make it.
You think Ohio State beats Michigan?
Yeah, I do.
You think Kyle McCord can get it done?
Where's the game?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think Florida State will make it.
You think Florida State beats Louisville?
I do.
Louisville's not a bad team, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily
I think Florida State can do it, though. I think it'll be a good game for sure, if that is what it turns out to be.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
If it's in Michigan, though, I think they might have a shot.
It is at Michigan. Ooh. It is up north. The team up north, playing up north, as Ohio State fans would say.
Packed.
Yeah.
So
I'm
still going to give it.
It's going to be a hostile environment for Kyle McCord, and this is the biggest game he's going to have.
I don't know.
In.
Michigan could win that.
Obviously the Notre Dame game's a big game, but in the Penn State games are also a big game. But without a doubt, this Michigan game will be the biggest game Kyle McCord's played in. We'll see if he can step up to the plate again and try to get the Buckeyes a victory. Overall, I think Michigan's a better team, but I think psychologically, I think Ohio State has a chance of winning that football game without a doubt.
And then the last spot, I'm debating between Alabama and Washington. I think who would you say out of them?
If Alabama gets in there, only way Alabama gets in is if they beat Georgia. Which I could see them putting Alabama and Georgia in there again and making it a two-team.
That's possible.
But I don't think you can do that with an undefeated Pac-12 champion. If Washington's undefeated at the end of the season, they're in no matter what.
I agree. I think I would do Florida. Yeah, Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Florida State, and Washington.
Yeah, I think I'd say Georgia 1 because I don't think they're losing to Alabama. I just don't think Alabama's there. Georgia 1, I think. Georgia 1, I think Michigan. If all the scandals clear up or whatever, and they are able to go to the playoffs, I think Michigan's 2. I think Florida State's 3, and then rounding out is the Pac-12 champion, whether that be Washington or Oregon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many teams stay undefeated, but there's kind of a lot right now.
Yeah, I think.
You think Texas has a shot? Like a good shot?
I think they'd have to hammer hammer Oklahoma is it Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game now, or
I'm
what's
pretty
decided
sure
about that?
the eligible teams are. So obviously Texas and OU are the favorites.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure OSU, or Iowa State are also something crazy would have to happen for that.
So basically, more
and
like.
And then Kansas State, yeah.
So obviously, I think Texas would have to beat the brakes off of whoever they played, and then one of those other top teams would have to get the brakes beat off of them.
Mm-hmm. But it'll probably.
But I think
could be Texas OU.
I think it's definitely plausible. But I don't know. That Big 12 championship game is going to be a big indicator. And then obviously, I mean, the Washington's not completely out of the clear yet.
No, they're not. I mean, but I just think they're so good, especially their receivers.
They are good. I mean, I'll give them that. But I mean, I think it's a lot closer than you think. I mean, to end out the season, they still have Oregon State and Washington State, which have been tough teams in the Pac-12 this season. I mean, they've got to go out and play good football, which they have been all season. I'm not saying they're not going to do that, but I mean, they still got a few tests left, and I think the Pac-12 could still work itself out. I mean, we've seen crazier stuff happen in this college football playoff era. But then again, this is why you need to expand it to 8 teams. But we don't make.
Yeah, I can't wait. I want that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the atmosphere behind it would be a lot more electric and would be just better overall.
I think they already should have done that, honestly. Is that coming in next year, right?
I'm not sure exactly when that's coming in, but it's going to be big when it does. They ruled on it, I think, this past weekend, or not. I mean, not this past summer. Discussed it, or see what you can't find out about that.
Yeah. Would you rather have 8 or 12?
Probably 8. I think 12's too many. Football's too rough of a game.
Yeah. You could give buys out.
Yeah, I think 8's perfect.
Yeah, I agree, because then it gives chances for other teams that are
absolutely,
in different conferences.
Absolutely. I think the 8-team playoff, I mean, obviously you get every conference champion in, and then the best, maybe even one of those smaller schools that's proven themselves, or just like a one-loss non-conference champion that's been really impressive as well. I think those games and the potential of that hypes up the playoff a lot
who
more.
Wouldn't want that?
I think every fan across the country would want that, and I think it's going to be good when it's finally implemented. With that finishing up here, that's probably going to wrap up what we have to say about the college football world. It's been wild and crazy, obviously. Move into the NFL a little bit. Some big news broke Wednesday morning. Deshaun's out for the season.
Yeah, he broke his shoulder. That sucks, man. Browns are actually looking really good.
Yeah, they were. I mean, their defense is tops of the NFL. Really, really just tremendous. And Deshaun was looking like he was turning a corner in terms of getting back to that old self of the Houston Texans, Deshaun, the former MVP candidate. But then breaks his shoulder in the second quarter, from what Adam Schefter said. Broke it in the second quarter, finished out the game, and still went 14-14 in the second half and won the game. That's, I mean, very impressive to do with a broken bone in your throwing shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give him credit for that. That's crazy. But they're gonna have to turn to a rookie now, Thompson Robinson out of UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. Season's probably down the drain just as they were getting right back into the mix of the AFC North race.
I mean, they're probably gonna use him and PJ Walker, because
I bet PJ Walker.
He started the game earlier in the year and it was horrible. I mean,
yeah, I bet they probably stick with PJ Walker. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean he's been all right. but their season is
pretty much down the drain.
unless their defense can carry them. But it's a lot to ask. But
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. But I think he'll be back for sure, especially knowing like how good of a player he has been. So
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying.
I think he'll be back and just as good as he was playing. I think he'll be back for sure.
I mean,
I don't know how long he's gonna be out.
$230 million guaranteed, and
That's a lot.
And the draft compensation that you gave up for him, and just hasn't really played. I mean, just hasn't really gotten on the field. And he did say that he wanted to play through it, but the doctor said that he'd just make it worse. So the executives in Cleveland said, "No, you're not going to do that on a
So he's out for the
$230 million
season.
contract."
I guess he'll be back at the start of next year.
Yeah, he'll be out. He'll be back starting next season, ready to go. Start a training camp.
It's not like they've gotten a lot out of him this year, so maybe they'll continue to play at the same level.
Maybe, I don't know. I think they might be able to sneak into the playoffs, but I mean, I think they'd need
As
a
like
lot
a
of
7 seed or something.
Yeah, like they'd need a lot of good
They
breaks.
got Pittsburgh, then Denver, then Los Angeles. So
I mean, they're in right now, but
they got a kind of easy or decently easy schedule. So
might be able to
just rely on the run
squeak
game
in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, 6-3 is a
Might need to
good
pick up.
place to start. I mean, it's a good to go from here rather than 4-4 or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we need to talk about the Bills have fired their offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, they fired Ken Dorsey, sent him on his merry way. He is no longer a part of the Buffalo Bills organization after they lost to the Broncos Monday night and had 4 turnovers on offense. How would you feel if you're Ken Dorsey and you get fired because Josh Allen keeps throwing the ball to the other team?
I mean, they're 5-5 now. They definitely expected a lot more. They should. I mean, they also got a sneak win over the Giants, and they've just been in a lot of one-possession games this year. Their offense has been underwhelming at points where they should have been a lot better, like against the Broncos, Giants, Patriots, Bengals. So I understand the firing, honestly. Joe Brady's coming in, and I like Joe Brady. I've always liked him. We'll see what he can do. And I think they have a shot to bounce back because they're so talented. I think the Stephon Diggs trade rumors have no weight, really.
I mean, they can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, he just signed a 6-year contract, so I think that's just...
You can't do anything.
Trayvon's just watching on the couch, trying to get his brother to play with him. I mean, if Stephon really wanted to come play with him, he probably would have done it, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know Stephon was very upset with Ken Dorsey. He asked Ken, I think at halftime during the game, he said, "Give me the ball, man. I can help." And I think Ken went on record to say, "Go put on a Broncos jersey."
Where'd you see that?
I saw it on an Instagram or on an NFL page this morning.
I don't know if that's true.
I'm not sure if that's true. But I think that was posted on Stephon Diggs or someone's Instagram story.
I don't know.
But it was obviously there was a lot of how do you say it? Tension in the locker room.
I want to say that was a meme page.
I don't know.
I think it was, bro. I saw the same thing.
There's tension in the locker room.
There was there was, but they're gonna bring in a new coordinator, and I honestly do think my prediction now, they do have a tough schedule, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll make the playoffs.
I mean, listen to this.
The Dolphins might win the division, but
I mean,
I think they'll still make it.
Josh Allen has 94 turnovers in 87 career games.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, and everybody kept saying, well, it's okay because he's winning games. Well, he's not winning them now. And these turnovers are coming, and they're biting the Bills. They're biting them in the behind.
Yeah, and, I mean, last week they weren't in the playoffs, and, I mean, this week that didn't change.
I mean,
they're the 10 seed right now. That's not good. They're
losing games they need to be winning.
The Colts are ahead of them.
They're losing games that on paper they should be winning.
They're tied with the Raiders.
Yeah, it's
and Colts.
That's what discussion they're in right now. I mean, they're on the outside looking in.
And the Cowboys play them. Actually, it's in Buffalo. So
it is in Buffalo.
That'll be a good
in
game.
Orchard Park. One of the last few games in Orchard Park as the Bills are getting a new stadium. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a cold one, but I think the Cowboys defense may feast in that one.
I don't know. I think it'll be a really good game. I know both teams are going to show up. So
yeah, without a doubt.
We'll see. I think
but the Bills don't have much of a run game, and Dallas's run defense has been better. And if you don't have much of a run game against Dallas and you get into that drop back pass situation, it's not usually very good for you.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Latavius Murray looked nice against the Broncos at points.
I was looking at
James Cook, he was just fumbling the ball. I mean,
I was looking at the Bills' schedule going forward, and I really think they have about two wins that I can say, yeah, they'll win those games. And the rest is kind of
hard schedule.
The rest is a very, very toss-up type.
Jets, Eagles, at Chiefs, Cowboys, at Chargers, Patriots, who they lost to, and then at Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd like to think they beat the Jets this week.
People are saying they're a dumpster fire.
You like to think they beat the Jets. I don't think they beat the Eagles. I don't think they beat the Chiefs. I don't think they beat the Cowboys. I think they can probably beat the Chargers. I think they'll beat the Patriots, obviously.
I think they take one of the Eagles, Chiefs, or Cowboys.
I think they go on a 3-game skid
and
then
beat the Jets.
I think they go on a 3-game skid and then go on a 3-game winning
streak. So you're saying they're going to beat – so you think they beat the Jets?
I say win at the Jets.
So 6-5.
Make them 6-5.
3 straight losses to go to 6-8.
To go to 6-8 and then 3 straight
that would
wins.
Basically mean
I could see them being a 9-8.
They're probably not going to make the playoffs if they lose these next 3.
The AFC is too deep. There's too many teams.
There are a lot. How about C.J. Stroud though?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first quarterback since Dan Marino, first rookie quarterback since Dan Marino to really even be in the conversation for MVP. C.J. Stroud has been playing unbelievable and is leading that Houston Texans team. And it's not like it's like a run on first and second down, and then he throws a screen pass on third. No, I mean they're opening it up. They're letting him play quarterback.
Yeah, I mean they started off a little bit slow, but they've won 5 of their last 7, and their 2 losses were on the road.
I mean, and they're putting
by
up
2 points.
They're putting up points.
I know. Yeah.
I mean they're a legit
Stroud's
team.
Been clutch.
They're a legit team. I kept wanting to. I kept wanting to bet against them, and I was picking against them so much, and I got to stop doing it.
Yeah, no, that's not a smart idea.
I mean, I got to stop doing it because they keep proving me wrong week after week after week. I mean, C.J. Stroud is really just unbelievable in terms of what he's doing.
15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
I want to talk about this. Wasn't it the Texans that released the cognitive test before the draft about him? That said he was like he failed it miserably or whatever and said he wasn't smart.
But I remember
if it was the Texans that had that test and then they went ahead and drafted him and then this is what's happening.
That's
smart. Good job, Texans. Way to do what you just did.
That is smart.
I mean, if that was the team that did that, I'm pretty sure the Texans were the ones that released that report. I mean, the Panthers made the Panthers decision a little easier. I mean. And obviously,
looking back, the Panthers should have taken Stroud, right?
Obviously, right now, yes, Stroud is the number 1 pick without a doubt by miles right now. I mean, nothing against Bryce Young. I mean, I'd hate to play behind that line in Carolina too, but C.J. Stroud just absolutely outperforming him by every stretch. I mean,
Bryce Young, I think he'll be good.
He's what? He's got 15-2 on the season.
Yeah.
Touchdown to interception ratio.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's up there with the top guys in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And to couple all that with
2 interceptions is crazy through the first 9 games.
Yeah, I mean, from a rookie quarterback, I mean, you don't expect something like that.
And Bryce Young, 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
8 touchdowns. Just not as productive.
Obviously, Bryce Young, the team isn't. I don't think it's much worse than Houston. Not saying
it's
Houston's
really not,
bad,
aside from the O-line. The O-line is
O-line's better in Houston. And I'd say the
Got a
skill
couple
players
more
are showing up
receivers,
better.
Yeah.
Skill players are showing up
Tight
better,
ends
without
and
a doubt.
whatnot.
But that defense that D'Amico Ryans has going, I think D'Amico Ryans is without a doubt the coach of the year leader right now. I mean, he's got Houston down there playing like some dogs. I mean, and I think everybody in the Houston Texans fan base, glad we are rid of what Deshaun. You know, obviously we hope he gets better, but glad we've got this young guy looking forward to now. We've got a young defense, a young head coach that's very aggressive and eager to get wins. And if you're a Houston Texans fan, you got to be excited right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would be for sure. I mean, I think if they're in the like I said earlier, the number 7 seed.
Yeah, I mean they're in the playoffs as of right now.
And their schedule coming up, they got the Cardinals, Jags. That'll be a good game, divisional game. Broncos, Jets, Titans, Browns without Watson, Titans again, Colts. And then, I mean that's not a super tough schedule.
No, I mean the Texans have a very plausible path to the playoffs. Because I mean
they beat Jacksonville.
The hard games are behind them. I mean, obviously they lost to Baltimore. You'd like to get that win, but they won. They beat Jacksonville. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat New Orleans.
20.
I mean, they beat Cincinnati. I mean, Arizona. You'd like to think they can win. You'd like to think they can win against Arizona. I mean, to be a tough game against Jacksonville. If they beat Jacksonville, they win the division.
Yeah, no, that's true. That'll be a big game. I think they'll beat the Cardinals next week to move to 6-4.
I do too.
And then the Jags, that'll be a huge game.
Yeah,
that'll determine a lot for the rest of the season.
There's obviously a lot more that's going to unfold as the NFL season progresses, the college football season progresses, and obviously we're just getting started into the NBA season. Really,
there's a lot to look forward to.
I mean,
how about the Cowboys though?
Cowboys, I think, man,
big win.
Man,
against the Giants.
Play good against bad teams.
Always beat the Giants.
Can't put it together against good teams.
You always got to take the over on that.
Yeah, always got to take the over if you're playing the Giants. That's without a doubt. Well, with that being said, I don't know that I have too much more to say. Do you?
I mean, only thing is CeeDee Lamb, top 3 receiver.
CeeDee Lamb's been playing insane the last few weeks.
Tyreek, A.J. Brown, CD, like Micah said. I don't know if you saw that.
That's a solid 3.
I like it. When Jettis comes back, I mean, I guess he's back this week. We didn't even touch on that, but
yeah, Jettis and A-Chain coming back this week. Notable players coming back.
I think Jefferson's obviously better, but
but
so maybe bump Lamb down to 4.
Yeah, and probably Devontae's probably in there too, but he has no quarterback, so.
Devontae Adams?
Yeah, without a doubt. I'd say we could debate on this a little bit more in the next show. What do you say?
Yeah, I'd be down.
Wrap this one up. Thank y'all for joining us. Again, follow for news. Follow our social media channels at Plus160 Podcast. And same goes for the YouTube. Same at Plus160 Podcast. This is obviously a little rusty, and we're going to try to get better as time goes on. This is our first episode behind the camera. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we brought some insight to your sports world, and hopefully you learned a little bit or enjoyed this podcast. Thank you.